Hi everyone. Now we are going to discuss about waterborne pathogens and their transmission or waterborne diseases. Water is essential for the being of all living organisms, and water is going to be required to maintain the human existence, that is our existence. A person may survive for weeks without food, but only few days without water. And this water is going to be the crucial for the growing of our food and the operation of all our industries. Paradoxically, it is a major vehicle for a number of waterborne diseases. So here, the waterborne diseases are going to be of any illness caused by drinking water contaminated by human or animal feces which contain pathogenic microorganisms. So in addition to the microorganisms inhabiting the different types of water, there are many pathogenic protozoa, bacteria and fungi that are being transmitted through water and causes serious diseases of humans and as well as animals. So in India, the 5 most common dangerous water related diseases are cholera, hepatitis A and E, typhoid, filariasis and dysentery. So other than these 5 most common dangerous water related diseases, we are also having certain diarrheal diseases like giardiasis, which is caused by a protozoan parasite, then cryptosporidiosis, which is caused by a bacteria, then campylobacteriosis, which is caused by again a bacteria, shigellosis caused by a bacteria, that's Shigella dysentery and shigellosis. Then viral gastroenteritis is because of the virus, and the cyclosporiasis is again by a parasite. So this is how we are going to have the different common water related diseases. So some important water transmitted pathogenic microorganisms. So I have given here the list that was caused by the bacteria. Like if we check the Aeromonas hydrophila is going to be associated with cellulitis, gastroenteritis, etc. And the reservoir is going to be the free living. And if you are going to take, for example, the Vibrio cholera, so it is going to be taken as a reservoir of free living water. That means the bacteria is going to be of free living in the water and causes the diarrhea. And even the small Salmonella enteritis is going to be present in the intestinal of animals. That means you are going to have the fecal matter is going to be the one which is transmitting this typhoid fever from one to the other. So obviously it's a waterborne disease. So in the same manner, Yersinia enterocolitica in animals and the Pseudomonas aeruginosa. So like this, we are going to have these all different types of the pathogenic microorganisms which are transmitting the diseases. That is mainly water transmitted pathogenic microbes. Then here are some protozoan pathogenic microbes which are involved in causing the different types of the diseases to the humans as well as animals. Coming to the factors influencing the waterborne diseases, there are several factors which are affecting or influencing the transmission of these waterborne diseases from man to man, that is human to human, or from animals to human. So those 5 here I have listed: the rainfall, sea level rises, then flooding, high temperatures and the drought conditions. So the heavy rainfall is going to be one of the factors which are going to be involved in transmitting the infectious agents from one area to the other area or from one location to the other location. So due to the heavy rainfall, we are going to have the flooding conditions also, and due to the sea level rises also leading to the flooding. So in these two conditions, they are going to be of combining with some sort of sewage treatment plants, and those water are also getting into the water resources that we are having, and obviously these infectious agents are being disseminated. That means they are going to be spreaded throughout the other areas also. And once they are going to be spreaded, obviously you are going to have the contamination, and these rainfall flooding are going to be the resultant of so many contagious diseases where this water is going to be acting as a one of the source of transmitting this one. Then the higher temperatures are going to increase the growth of some certain microorganisms where they can survive and cause the infections. Drought conditions. So under the drought conditions, the people, because of the unavailability of the water resource properly, they won't maintain the hygienic conditions, which may also increase the concentration of the pathogens that leads to the infection. So these are the few factors which are going to be influencing the waterborne diseases. Then here I have given the classification of water-related illnesses which are associated with microorganisms. So we can have the waterborne diseases. So that means what is meant by waterborne diseases? The one which is going to originate in the fecal matter and transmitted by the ingestion are all going to be classified as waterborne diseases. Examples of this kind of the diseases are cholera, typhoid. Then coming to the water wash, here these are going to be originate in the feces transmitted through the contact. So that means improper washing, all those things leads to the second type of the classification, that is water washed waterborne diseases. Then coming to the trachoma is the best example of this one. Then water based. So here the diseases that are going to be originate in water where the part of the life cycle in aquatic animals is going to occur and transmitted through the direct contact with the humans or by inhalation. The best examples of this kind of the waterborne diseases are going to be schistosomiasis, then Legionella. Then water related one. So the microbes are going to be associated with the insects that live or breed in water. The best example is yellow fever, malaria, all these things comes under this one. So let's see all these types of classifications in detail one by one now. So the first one, waterborne disease. So I told you these are going to be transmitted through the ingestion of contaminated food or water. That means indirectly that is going to be connected with the water, is going to act as a passive carrier for the transmission of this infectious agent. So that means here the microorganisms are going to be transmitted through the fecal oral route and are usually referred to as enteric pathogens because they are present inside the intestine of us. So obviously they are being called as enteric pathogens because they infect the gastrointestinal tract. And they are going to be characteristically stable in water. In the case of enteric bacteria, are capable of growth outside the host under right environmental conditions. So these are going to be the waterborne diseases. So simply in a one word, if you are going to discuss, these are going to be originate in the fecal matter and they are going to be transmitted by the ingestion. So the best examples of this kind of the waterborne diseases are cholera and typhoid fever. Then moving to the water washed, where water hygiene diseases, these are also called as. So the diseases that are going to be caused by poor personal hygiene, skin and eye contact with the contaminated water is going to be related to the water hygiene diseases or water washed diseases. And the diseases that are going to be included in this one is going to be scabies, trachoma, typhus and other flea, lice and tick-borne diseases, and these are going to be responsible. That means the water wash or water hygiene diseases are mainly responsible of causing the infant mortality and morbidity. And in simple, if you are going to discuss, these are going to be originate in feces and transmitted through the contact. So here it is going to be of fecal oral route. So transmitted by the ingestion, and here it is going to be transmitted by the contact. Then moving to the water-based diseases. So here the water-based diseases are going to be caused by the organisms by different species of worms that spends part of their life cycle in different habits. That means they are going to have spent one development cycle in aquatic, for example, molluscas, and other as fully grown parasites in other. So example here we can discuss is the schistosomiasis and Legionella. So these are the two. So in simple we can say that these kind, that is water-based diseases, are going to originate in the water part of the life cycle in aquatic animals. Okay, in aquatic animals, where they are going to spend their development cycle, half of their development cycle in the water, and these are going to be transmitted either through the direct contact with the humans or by inhalation. So where the previous one here, they are going to be of transmitted by ingestion, that means of intake, fecal oral route, and the second one, water washed, is through the transmitted by contact, and here the water based is going to be transmitted either through the direct contact with the humans or by inhalation. And the fourth one that we are going to discuss is the water related diseases, which are going to be caused by insect vectors, especially mosquitoes, that breed or feed near contaminated water. They are not going to spend their life cycle in the water. So that's the difference between water based and the water related. And they are not typically associated with the lack of access to clean drinking water or sanitation services. And the kind of the diseases that are related to this water related diseases are dengue, filariasis, malaria, then onchocerciasis, then trypanosomiasis, and yellow fever. So that means, in simple, if we are going to discuss, these microbes are going to be associated with insects that live or breed in the water. The best example, all are this. Okay. Then yellow fever is going to be the best example, malaria, all these things. Then other type of classification is there, water scarce disease, where so this may be also classified under the water wash, where if you are not going to have the proper availability of the water, that means lack of water availability for washing, bathing, and cleaning. So obviously you are not going to have all those things. So where the concentration of the pathogens may rise, and that may transmit from one person to other, and those are going to be leading to the waterborne or water related disease. Such type of the diseases are going to be called as water scarce diseases. So this is all about the classification of water related or illnesses that are going to be associated with the microorganisms. So let's see few waterborne diseases depending upon the different types of classification. So the first type is waterborne diseases. The first type of the classification related to the water related illnesses is waterborne diseases. So what are these? They are going to originate in the fecal matter, and they are going to be transmitted by the ingestion of contaminated water. And these are going to be mainly enteric diseases, as they are going to be involved with the gastrointestinal tract infection. And the classical waterborne diseases are mostly because of the three types of pathogens, that is protozoan parasites and bacterial parasites and viral parasites. So here you can see the protozoal infections are going to be amoebiasis, giardia, and cryptosporidium. Whereas the bacterial infections, so here you can see the cholera and the typhoid. Typhoid is very rare, but it is also going to be of one of the cause of waterborne disease. Then campylobacteriosis, bacillus dysentery, leptospirosis is also rare, dysentery, E. coli, etc. Then viral infections, mainly infectious hepatitis, poliomyelitis, and SARS. So because you may also have some sort of what we call as inhalation. So severe acute respiratory syndrome may also be because of this waterborne disease. Sometimes, not always. Then in detail of the protozoal infection, so here we'll discuss about the amoebiasis. The agent that is responsible of causing this is a protozoan, that is nothing but the Entamoeba histolytica. And how it is going to be of causing amoebiasis means by the water supply. So when the sewage or some sort of non-drinking water or the flies in the water supply are going to come in contact with the water supply, the drinking water supply, obviously you are going to get this amoebiasis. And what are the symptoms that are related to it? We are going to have the abdominal discomfort, fatigue, weight loss, fever, diarrhea, and bloating. That is bloating of your stomach, where swelling or increased diameter of the abdominal area is going to be called as bloating. Then moving to the giardiasis, so here the microbial agent that is responsible of causing this is also a protozoan parasite, and the specific protozoan is Giardia lamblia. And this Giardia lamblia, how it is going to be transmitted is again if our drinking water supply is going to have the contamination with the untreated water or through the pipe breaks, that means the sewage pipe breaks are going to be, then also contamination occurs. Groundwater contamination because of the landfills or whatever the sewage disposal, then rodents create ponds that act as a reservoirs for the Giardia. And what are the symptoms that we are going to get because of this giardiasis is diarrhea, abdominal discomfort, again the bloating. I told you what is meant by bloating. It is swelling or increased diameter of abdominal area and flatulence. Then moving to the bacterial infections, we are going to have the cholera, leptospirosis and the typhoid. So the cholera, the microbial agent causing is going to be the Vibrio cholera, and the sources of agent are going to be the drinking water contaminated with this bacterium, that is Vibrio cholerae. And what are the symptoms that we are going to? In severe forms, it is known to be one of the most rapidly fatal illness, and the symptoms are going to include watery diarrhea, nausea, cramps, a nosebleed, so we may have some sort of nosebleed, increased pulse rate, vomiting, and severe cases of hypovolemia, that means decreased blood volume may also occur, at which point death can occur in 12 to 18 hours. So in detail about the cholera, you can refer to the medical microbiology where I have explained about the cholera in detail. Then the second one is leptospirosis. It is a bacterial disease that is going to be caused by the ingestion or bodily contact with the water contaminated with urine of infected animals, especially rats. And this leptospirosis disease is very difficult to diagnose and is often overlooked, but may be important especially when we are having the flooding conditions. Then typhoid fever. Obviously, we know that Salmonella typhi is the causative agent of this typhoid fever, and the sources of agent how this disease is being transmitted is water supply and the ingestion of water contaminated with the feces or an infected person. Then general symptoms are going to be of sustained fever up to 40 degrees, that is 104 Fahrenheit, and profuse sweating. Then diarrhea, less common rash may occur. Symptoms progress to delirium, that is acute confusion and disorientation, and splenomegaly and hepatomegaly, that means spleen is going to be affected and your liver is going to be affected if the patient is untreated, though they are going to have this typhoid. So in this case, it can last up to 4 weeks and may cause the death. So I have explained this typhoid fever also in detail in the medical microbiology subject. You can go through it. Then viral infections. So we are having certain viral infections, mainly infectious hepatitis, where the hepatitis A virus, the hepatitis E virus are going to be considered as infectious. And the sources of agent here, it is going to be of mainly manifest itself in the water and food, and they are going to be transmitted. So general symptoms are going to be of only acute and include fatigue, then fever, abdominal pain, nausea, feeling of vomiting but you won't, diarrhea, then weight loss, itching, jaundice, and depression. Then moving to the poliomyelitis. So here obviously the agent is poliovirus and the source of agent enters water through the feces of an infected individual. That means again it is of through the oral ingestion only, that means transmitted by the ingestion. And the general symptoms that we are getting of poliomyelitis is gastrointestinal illness and poliomyelitis, where about 90 to 95% of patients are going to show no symptoms. Only 4 to 8% are going to have the minor symptoms comparatively, with the delirium, headache, fever, and occasional seizures, spastic, that is unusual stiffness that occurs. Then paralysis have symptoms of non-paralytic aseptic meningitis. And the rest of about 1 to 5 in 1,000 people affected is going to have a very serious symptoms resulting in the paralysis or death of the patient affected with the polio virus. The two basic patterns of polio infections are going to be the minor illness and the major illness. The minor illness is not going to involve the central nervous system. Sometimes it is going to be of about 2 poliomyelitis, whereas the major illness is going to involve the central nervous system, which may be paralytic or non-paralytic. in most people with a normal immune system, a poliovirus infection is asymptomatic. So I have explained about this poliomyelitis and then infectious hepatitis A in detail in the medical microbiology. So if you want about this in detail, you can refer those videos also. Then moving to the water wash. So until now we have discussed about the waterborne diseases that were caused by bacteria, protozoa and the viruses. Now we are moving to the second type, that is water wash. So what is the water wash diseases? So those are going to be originate in the feces and transmitted through the contact. So these water wash diseases are mainly caused by the poor personal hygiene, and obviously more common in the tropical third world countries where maybe water scarcity is present. So intestinal as well as the non-intestinal infections may occur, that is eye and skin diseases may also occur because we are going to have the contact. That means these are transmitted by or through contact. So examples of this one is going to be of intestinal. We are going to have Shigella, then typhoid, cholera, scabies, yas. So as is caused by the Treponema pallidum subspecies Patinio. Treponema pallidum is going to cause the spirochete is going to cause a syphilis, that is different, sexually transmitted. But here the subspecies Patini is going to affect the skin, bone and the cartilage. Then leprosy is also because of this water washer disease only. Conjunctivitis and other skin infections and ulcers, Campylobacter, Giardia, Cryptosporidium and the viruses may be transmitted through this water diseases transmission mode. And here coming to one example is of Cryptosporidium, where the common disinfectants like chlorination is ineffective. In 1993 outbreak in Milka was the largest outbreak ever documented in the US with 400,000 cases and 100 deaths. So those are all because of the Cryptosporidium. And trachoma is also going to be another example of this kind of water washer disease. Is coming to the water-based disease, the third type of classification of water-related illness. So water-based means where this kind of the diseases are going to originate in water, part of life cycle in aquatic animals, and transmitted through direct contact with the humans or by the inhalation. So if you see, that means in simple, these are being caused by the pathogens that have a complex life cycle and which involves an intermediate aquatic host. Okay, so all of these diseases are going to be caused by the worms especially. So if you check the Schistosomiasis, Legionella, and Schistosomiasis is going to be caused by the Schistosoma worm, which was going to use the aquatic snail as an intermediate host. And in the same manner, Dracunculiasis is going to be caused by the Guinea worm, which uses a small crustacean as an intermediate host. So that's how these are going to have the classified under water-based diseases. Then coming to the Schistosomiasis in detail. So we also call this Schistosomiasis as a bilharzia or bilharziosis or the snail fever. So that means the people who consume this snails, obviously they are going to get this one. So which is going to be a parasitic disease caused by several species of Platyhelminthes, and these snails are going to serve as the intermediate agent between the mammalian hosts. And the most microbial agent is going to be the parasitic worm of the genus Schistosomiasis, and the source of agent by which this Schistosomiasis is going to be caused is by contaminated water with certain types of snails that carry this schistosoma. And the general symptoms we are going to have because of this Schistosomiasis infection or disease is going to be blood in urea depending upon the type of infection, rash or itchy skin, fever, chills, cough and muscle aches are going to be the certain other side effects because of this Schistosomiasis. Then moving to the fourth type of classification, that is water related diseases, where the microbes associated with the insects that live or breed in the water are going to be classified under the water related diseases. The best example I told you is the yellow fever. So here the diseases, as we know, is going to be carried by the pathogens mainly by the insects like mosquitoes, Aedes mosquito, female Anopheles mosquito. All the mosquitoes and some other ticks and mites are going to be involved in transmitting the diseases, and they are going to have the growth near to the contaminated waters. That is not related directly with the water, but they are going to grow near the contaminated water or waterlogged conditions. So that's why these are going to be called as water related diseases. Okay, so that live near the water and act as a mechanical vectors. So these are going to be of difficult to control and diseases are severe. So the best examples are yellow fever, which is a viral disease transmitted by the mosquito called Aedes species, and the dengue is also a viral disease transmitted by the mosquito Aedes aegypti, which breeds in water. And the malaria is obviously caused by a protozoan, that is Plasmodium species, and is transmitted by the female Anopheles mosquito. So this is all about the classification of water-related diseases and the different examples and the pathogens that are related with this waterborne related illnesses. Now these have given the group of diseases and what are the different types of the diseases that are related depending upon the classification, then how they are going to leave the host and how they are going to be involved in the infection, causing infection. Here just you can go through it. Then depending upon the type of diarrhea occurring or not occurring, the waterborne diseases are going to be classified into two. One is diarrheal waterborne diseases and the second one is going to be non-diarrheal waterborne diseases. So here in the diarrheal waterborne diseases, we are going to have, that means these are all going to be related to the causing of diarrhea. That means motions you are going to get. So that are all going to be classified under the diarrheal waterborne diseases, which are going to infect the gastrointestinal tract and causing the diarrheal disease. And the most common causes of severe diarrheal diseases are rotavirus, then pathogenic E. coli, Campylobacter jejuni, Entamoeba histolytica, Giardia intestinalis, also called as Giardia lamblia, Cryptosporidium parvum, and Norwalk-like viruses. So these are the few diarrheal diseases that commonly we are going to see. Then the epidemic diarrheal diseases, that means suddenly the outbreaks are going to be occurred because of the two main diarrheal pathogens. One is the Shigella dysentery, another one is the Vibrio cholera. So these are going to be particularly infectious and can cause severe epidemics. So both shigellosis and the cholera can be triggered by natural disorders. That means when you are going to have the floodings or the tsunamis like that, at that condition there may be a chances of having these epidemic diarrheas and political upheavals that disrupt the normal water supply. Then non-diarrheal waterborne diseases, while most waterborne pathogens cause diarrheal disease, but very few do not affect that means they do not affect the gastrointestinal tract and they are not related to the diarrhea, but they will affect the other parts of the body, such as if we take the typhoid, it is going to cause the hepatomegaly, and that means your liver is getting affected, then your spleen is getting affected. So if other than the diarrhea, if you are going to have this kind, then we are classifying that as non-diarrheal waterborne diseases. Even the hepatitis is also affecting the liver and causing the liver inflammation. So such type of the things are going to be classified under the non-diarrheal waterborne diseases. So then how to control these waterborne pathogens or waterborne diseases means the first thing that we have to do is improve the quality and quantity of drinking at source and at the tap. That means wherever you are going to have the drinking sources, at the tap or in the storage vessel, wherever you have to improve the quality as well as the quantity. Then interrupt the routes of transmission by emptying the accumulated water resources. So this is how we oftenly listen in the ads when we are having the dengue fever. First of all, don't try to have the water resources or sources nearby in the pots or in the plant pots, everything. So you have to remove that accumulated unstagnant water. That means whatever the stagnant water is there, that we have to remove, such that we are going to interrupt the routes of transmission, mainly vector based one. Then we have to, not we, either the municipalities or the water maintaining sources have to chlorinate the water such that the pathogens may be killed. Then the change of hygienic behavior like hand washing, everything have to be followed. And breastfeeding for the first 6 months of life is very, very important to avoid these waterborne diseases. Proper maintenance of water supply, sanitation systems, pumps and wells also going to avoid this water related illnesses. Then good food hygiene, wash before eating, protect from flies. Then improved immunization practices, especially for rotavirus. Develop or enhance public health surveillance system. So we have to maintain this one, which is a lag in our India. Then faster responses to emergent and dangerous pandemic strains of pathogenic infection. So immediately you have to find out the cause of the outbreaks, and immediately you have to go for the emergency treatments. That system body have to be organized, and it have to be maintained. Then health education programs across the country. So if the people are going to be educated with the health properly, how to maintain all these things, obviously half of the problem is going to be solved. So that's the reason why the school education is going to have the this health education programs. Then in natural epidemics, super chlorination of water resources is preferable. So if we are going to have these prevention and control measures, obviously we can be safe from water related illnesses that are associated with the microorganisms or pathogens. So that's all about the waterborne pathogens and their transmission or waterborne diseases. Thank you.